Coming up on Omitted.
Second would be take more showers. But not literally.
Jenney!
Not literally.
Thank you, and welcome to the next episode of Omitted. Today we're joined by two guests.
Hi, my name is Jasmyn. I will be attending Washington Lee University in the fall.
Hi, my name is Jenney, and I'll be attending Yale University.
I think we'll move on to classes now. I think start with Jasmyn. This is freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year.
Yeah.
What classes do you think stood out in your application? What classes would you recommend to underclassmen or people choosing the classes?
Okay, for freshman year, I think like many freshmen at Townsend, I definitely took like the standard freshman classes. But I think one of the classes that really did made me stand out. And then you'll see how like it progresses over my years was definitely concert band. So concert band is like our beginner band at Townsend, so not like a modern band, like more of like a wind ensemble kind of beginner band. So like everyone in there was like learning how to read music, how to play like clarinet, sax, trumpet, those instruments, wind instruments from scratch. So yeah, and then moving on to my sophomore year, I took on jazz band and wind ensemble. So I think that kind of just marked the start of my career as a musician at Townsend, and also something I read about in some of my subs is kind of what music meant to me, especially as coming as someone that never did music before. And then for later down the line, then becoming band president in my senior year. So yeah, for sophomore year, I think jazz band and wind ensemble were really big classes for me, but also AP Physics 1. So sophomore year, I took the first cohort of the like hybrid Regents AP class. I think that also really did prepare me to, kind of prepare me for like what college looks like, I guess, like in terms of like workload, or just, that was kind of like the make or break factor. Like, do I want to stay in STEM or do I want to go elsewhere? And I'm really glad I had that opportunity as a sophomore and not like later in my career to kind of like make the decision. And like AP Physics was probably, I think that class was definitely the hardest class I took. Not because of the content itself, but because it was the first time that I felt like, I feel like a lot of kids at Townsend, they come in with this like, I've always been like naturally smart thing, and I just think that like those are the kind of kids that like freshman year, it's kind of, I feel like, not as hard as like your other years, of course, but AP Physics 1 was like the first class I realized like, if I don't study, I'm not going to perform well in this class. And that kind of just started shaping my study habits and just like how I was as a test taker, because I think that class I was a really anxious test taker because it was such unfamiliar territory. But I think taking that class so early in my high school career really made it easier to take so many other harder classes in sophomore and junior year, and definitely going into college makes it easier to kind of challenge myself in those classes. I think a lot of people are like, oh no, don't take AP Physics, it's hard, but yeah, it's definitely hard, but it prepares you for college. Like that's definitely one of the classes that really give you a taste of what college looks like, and it's definitely scary and it's definitely hard at first. But once you find your kind of groove, I think it definitely becomes easier. And
I can vouch for AP Physics hybrid. You have to make it your priority as a class.
I never took AP Physics, but I definitely kind of regret not taking AP Physics. I just think for physics in general, so it just changes the way you think. It makes you think like more broadly. It makes you think conceptually and really have to dive into the details. I know it's like a lot of people are like scared of the workload and sort of like scared by maybe physics even itself if they took Regents Physics. And I was one of those people. But now reflecting, I was like, I really wish I went through that process, even though I know like maybe I wouldn't have liked it at first, but I think in the end it would have really, really helped my thinking and sort of like my thinking process for a lot of other STEM subjects.
Yeah, I definitely feel like taking AP Physics, like it kind of, like Jenney said, it like resets the way you think about things, and not just that, like just the way you approach different problems, not even just in like a classroom setting, but I feel like outside of class too, just like how you, I don't know, start taking on things that look challenging and kind of just breaking it down. I think physics really did teach me how to do that. Into junior year, I took AP Lang with Miss Burley. I took Physics C. What else did I take? A Push. Or what else? AP Pre-Calc. And then I self-studied for AP Psych. I would say that AP Pre-Calc was probably a class I wish I did not take. The thing with AP Pre-Calc is it's a very algebra-heavy class, and it did not go well with the fact I was taking AP Physics C, which is a calc level class. So that kind of gap was really challenging to fill. And it kind of made like performing well in AP Physics C a bit more challenging. And I think that I mentioned that in my like additional info like section, because I think AP Physics C, I like the class, and I feel like I understood it more than Physics 1, but because it was such a calc level class, I think that definitely did set me back a bit. So I mentioned in my additional info section, which I think a lot of people don't use their additional info section, which I use it to kind of note that like I was taking pre-calc and then taking a calc level class with no like calc background whatsoever. So if like my grade was a little lower than what's typically on my transcript, that was kind of where that came from. And like I was talking to my admission counselor from W&L, and you know, like they actually read those things because we were talking about physics, and he was like, I remember you mentioned that. So yeah, that's another like helpful tidbit. Like if you have something, if you're like, oh, like I don't want to see them to see this grade on my transcript or see this score on my AP report, like I mean, explain it to them. Explain like why you feel like that grade doesn't really reflect who you are as a student, because I feel like they understand. The admissions officers, I did a lot of flying programs throughout the fall, which is like programs where you can apply to as a rising senior, and they'll fly you out to visit the schools and kind of like sell you on their school. So just being able to meet admissions officers through them there, it made me realize like these are actually real people, you know, like they're not robots, they're not scary. Like these people could very much be like, you know, like your family, the way that they talk to you and engage with you. Yeah, and then senior year, I'm taking AP Latin. Yeah, AP Gov, Calc AB, but I took the BC exam, and I took AP Chem. AP Chem was probably like the only other science class that I wanted to take. That was like, yeah, because there was no other physics classes, which sucked. I liked it. I think it kind of just showed like a variety in like my science background, I guess, that I wasn't just like taking physics classes alone, and I didn't just drop science senior year. That's another thing. Just having, I feel like senior year, a lot of people are like, oh, like this is the time to be taking easy classes, but I mean, I feel like it's definitely the time to not be taking as heavy of a workload. But also colleges they still want to see you like, you know, pushing yourself, still want to see you like taking advantage of your classes, and also just having like a broad like schedule. Yeah, so like a foreign language, math, a science, because I feel like most people like they get senior and they're like, oh, I don't have to take a math, or I don't have to take science anymore. But I feel like that kind of sometimes it might depend on your major, it doesn't really work in your favor. And then yeah, so and then AP Latin, I think I took that. I really enjoyed Latin sophomore and junior year, but I think I took AP Latin because I kind of just wanted to show colleges I had that like foreign language breadth in my schedule. And then I also did symphony, orchestra, and wind ensemble throughout my junior and senior year as well, which I think helped with my like extracurriculars. Yeah.
Okay. We went to Jenney. This is freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. And what classes were kind of notable to you throughout those 4 years?
I took basically pretty much the standard freshman year classes, so nothing special for me there. In sophomore year, I joined the science research class, and that's like a sort of 3-year class at Townsend. You enter sophomore year, and then you have the choice to take junior science research and then senior science research. But if you don't join sophomore year, you have an extremely hard to no chance to get into the program sort of junior and senior year. So if you're interested in that, I think you should definitely build on that interest. In that class, we just did a lot of like fun experiments, popping popcorn, examining herbal remedies. It was sort of just like not only fun, but it sort of opens you up to the whole researching process, like how you genuinely have to be curious. You have to find something you want to explore that maybe sometimes other people haven't explored. And sometimes that's really hard. There's so many people in this world, so many people in your classes. You just don't know what's unique sometimes. But going through that process, it really builds on your thinking of, oh, what is out there? What can I sort of like build upon? Even silly things like how to make popcorn pop better, or or what methods of herbal remedies is the most effective. I just think that that whole like class process was really, really cool. And I only took that until junior year because the class unfortunately did not fit in my senior year schedule. But something notable about science research in junior year is that for at least when I took junior science research, they required everyone to apply to this Memorial Sloan Kettering essay competition. It's like the radiology giving back to New York City competition. So they require all the juniors to do it. And you have to write an essay sort of like talking about how radiology impacted your life. I think it's been like a thing in the whole program. The thing about junior and senior science research is that the juniors and seniors are in one class, so you have like upperclassmen as a junior helping you sort of like hone your essays, hone your writing skills, or even like helping you with your personal research projects if you are doing one. And it was like thanks to me being in the science research program that I was able to get my #1 extracurricular, which was the Memorial Sloan Kettering research. I think that's it for sophomore year. In junior year, I took 5 APs. I took APUSH, AP Lit, AP Spanish Language, AP Pre-Calc, and what am I missing? AP Bio. AP Bio. AP Bio, I had Miss Cooper, amazing teacher, amazing class. It's definitely very rigorous, I would say, but I think that if you really, really are interested in biology, or like even slightly interested, I think it's a very manageable class. I know a lot of seniors took it my year, but I don't think it really matters you take it senior or junior year. But I think if you're looking to go into biology or something along the lines of biological sciences, I think that will give you so much more knowledge and experience to take it in junior year. And another class I really enjoyed in junior year was AP Spanish Language. It was the hardest class I've taken at Townsend because straight from the get-go, you're already preparing for the AP exam. There's like not as much teaching as much application, sort of like 3 weeks in or something, or a month in, we literally started writing letters, we're writing essays, doing reading comprehension, listening comprehension. It's really, really hard because sometimes things go in one year and out the other, especially with a language you're not very familiar with. So it really tests how your focus and sort of like how quickly you can catch up on details. Although it's very, very hard, I think that it was still very cool. Mrs. Scare is an amazing teacher. She'll help you a lot along the way. She's very understanding. I think that class was very interesting in many ways, but I think it's cool if you're very into languages or like linguistics. I definitely recommend it. And then senior year, I'm taking AP Calc BC, AP Latin, and
macro?
AP macro, AP macroeconomics. I think AP Calc BC is very, very fun. I've always enjoyed math as a kid. I've loved math. I loved algebra, loved calculus. So I was like, I really like that class. It's a very lively class and also a very competitive class. So just being surrounded with so many people who are very interested in math, are at the top of like your grade, and like just interacting, solving problems with them, watching their thought processes, and also how the teacher teaches. It's so cool. And if you really want to, you definitely can find like joy or something in solving math problems. I think it's really fun personally. And then I also really love AP Latin. my experience might be a little more different than Jasmyn's. But I genuinely love like Latin. I also took Latin sophomore, junior year. I enjoyed it both years, and I was like, why not? I mean, I did it so many years, I might as well continue it. Plus, Mr. Owens is one of my favorite teachers at Townsend. He definitely makes the class a lot more fun. I just think that AP Latin is not so much standardized teaching like what you're usually used to. You sort of learn as you go, because what we do is we translate passages from sort of like Latin passages from books. This year we did Caesar and the Aeneid, and along the way you sort of have to build back on your knowledge of tenses, grammatical construction, syntax. You sort of learn along the way. It's not like, oh, I'll give you vocabulary, I'll teach you this syntax or this grammatical structure, and then you go into translate. And there's also like, I've always enjoyed translating as a kid. I didn't know this coming into the class, but I'm really glad that we did a lot of translation, because I used to growing up, I've always been like a translator for like between Chinese and English, and that whole translation process was also something big I talked about for like community service or for other schools. But I just think that like the whole translation process is so cool, because you not only have to be able to think in Latin, you also have to be able to think it like English and every day. How can you make this understandable, or how can you make this make sense? Because sometimes it just won't make sense, and you just have to accept it. And I just think it's cool to sort of like dissect everything word by word, build back on previous knowledge, and like, oh, this is an imperfect tense, oh, this is masculine. Like, I think all the details and nuances that go into it are very fun.
I think we've went between STEM APs and language APs a lot. How do you guys think those differ, especially with like AP Physics 1 or C versus AP Spanish and Latin?
I just feel like it's targeting like a different part of your brain.
Yes, definitely.
Like I feel like just like the way you think in those classes are like so different. And I think like sometimes like some people are better at like one of those classes, like they specialize in one of those things, which is, I feel like I'm grateful that I went to Townsend, because it is a humanities school, and I feel like compared to other like really STEM-y or really like humanity, like I feel like I was able to get a breath of like a lot of different things at Townsend. And because of the foreign language requirement, because of like the arts requirement, the math and science requirements, I was able to kind of figure out what I really enjoyed. Like now, like going to college, I probably will not spend like 3 years doing a language. I probably spend more time taking like another science class or taking another math class. So I think that's what Townsend does like really great, is that like preparing kids to know what they want to do. And that's not just like in the classroom, it's kind of just like outside the classroom as well, which we'll talk about later with our extracurriculars. Townsend has, I feel like even though it is a small school, I think a lot of people don't realize how fortunate we are to have all of the extracurriculars we do, and have all of the extracurriculars just be so like well, just like performing well to the point where like students are actually able to get something out of it. Like it's not just another club to put on their resume, but like I think the classics, Scioli, robotics are like really big ones, and they each target like different audiences, and they each target different, I guess, like aspects of learning. And nevertheless, those are all still like very successful clubs at Townsend, that whatever you join, like you're gonna get something really great out of those experiences, which I think like like any Townsend class or just any Townsend club is just like so well done and just like well taught, which is something that I think being at a small school really does help, because all of your teachers are just, I feel like they're so much more excited to help you because they have that like lower student to teacher ratio.
I think that, well, I've also always been a very STEM kid growing up. I hated writing essays. I hated sort of like reading comprehension and all that. So I was actually surprised that I liked this sort of humanities aspect coming in to Townsend, because I also was very worried about this humanities aspect because I'm not as confident in my writing abilities. But I think I turned out fine, and I think the whole like balance between STEM and humanities is and how you have to have a balance instead of sort of like focusing on one, and that it's also up to you. So you kind of like have to hold yourself accountable for that. You have to figure out, oh, what kind of education do I want? What kind of classes do I want to take? But I think that taking a good balance of both definitely sort of like honed both parts of your brain. You just think so differently, and you never know like what you never know like what like something you can borrow from the humanities into your STEM, because no matter what, these two will always be interconnected. You can't forever avoid writing essays, and you can't forever avoid doing math. They're like the basis of just general life. So I think that we're very fortunate to have a good program here.
Yeah, and just adding on to that, like I feel like when you go into STEM, you're like, oh, I'm never going to take another writing class again. But then like you realize that when it comes to, I feel like research is a really big part of kind of just furthering your STEM education and making you more appealing to recruiters, like when you're looking for a job. And just like I saw it a lot. Like I didn't think I was going to enjoy like my humanities class or get anything out of it. Like I thought it was just another English class, but just like doing like humanities and then like preparing for our final projects, and just that research process, it's parallel to the same research process you would be doing for a STEM paper, like just like finding all your sources, and like our thesis text, which would like for STEM be like your kind of main focus, your main like experiment. Yeah, like a lot of the skills that I learned at like the QC humanities class was really, I really do see it reflected in like the research that I've done before. But yeah, and I think that opportunity is something that a lot of other high schoolers don't get outside of Townsend. And I think it's also definitely something like a lot of people do take for granted. But I think once you step into college, you'll definitely see how that experience was really amazing.
I really loved my humanities class. Really, really surprising that I actually loved humanities, because just the intercourse and the discussions that you have in class about, and you see the way people think, you're like, whoa, I've never thought of it in this way. I really like that perspective or that angle, or that's interesting. Like I never thought about it, even in any like different point of views, any aspects, just seeing how other people think. I think it's so much more common to see how other people think and their thought processes when it comes to sort of like things like the humanities compared to like solving like a physics or a calculus problem. Yes, there are different ways to solve each problem, but I just think in humanities you get a more sort of like range of perspectives. Some people view things differently because it's so up to your personal like experiences, who you are, what you see. And like even though we were writing essays, writing journals throughout the whole thing, I thought that I was like, I'm so glad I did this. I definitely think it helps your writing a lot. And doing the symposium, I was like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna write a 25-page paper with my group mates. But then in the end, I was like, it wasn't too bad, and I actually like really enjoyed picking out my own brain and pushing myself to see what else I could think of.
I think now we'll move on to ECs. What are some ECs that you felt were most notable and that really told your story in your application?
So one downside for Questbridge, at least for me, was that you could only list up to 5 extracurriculars. It doesn't mean like you can't like not talk about any other extracurriculars, but just like means like in your EC section you can only list those 5. An upside about it is that you're at least able to talk more about each of those compared to like Common App. So okay, I'm gonna share the 5 I wrote about. And also another thing is that you can also like upload like an optional resume, which I did for like your college applications. Okay, so I talked about Project Home, which was helping other minorities excel. Founded 2 first Lego League robotics teams in Guyana for ages 7 to 10, and then acquired funding to support for the teams. That's like the TLDR of like my description. Then I had Stu Hawk's robotics vice president. I mentioned just being able to oversee an academic team of over 100 students. And also I mentioned Project Shift, which is a big mentorship program that the Stu Hawks runs, and just leading that. So basically we go to local middle schools and we kind of just bring like the Stu Hawks experience to them. So we go to a lot of like underrepresented schools. So I combined those 2 into one. I mentioned my time as a research intern at NYU through the ARISE program, and just a little bit about my work there. So I worked in the Agile Robotics and Perceptions Lab, where I tackled like finding solutions to quality quadrotors, which is just a fancy way of saying how do we stabilize drones or any kind of aircraft that has a faulty motor in it. So that was also, I really enjoyed that experience because I learned how to CAD there, which stands for computer aided design, which I was able to apply like all my time as a Teal Hawks. I say that was 3. And then Excelsior Learning, which is a local nonprofit. I know you're part of that too. I was the chief of staff last year, and then I was also the physics specialist, and I did outreach the year before. Excelsior Learning, I think I really love Excelsior because no promoting here. This is like real experiences. I'm not being paid to say this. Excelsior Learning I really did enjoy because I think this was one of the first times that I was working with students on a larger scale that weren't specifically from Townsend Harris. And I feel like with Excelsior you didn't really have like an advisor like you do at Townsend clubs. It was very student run, very student led, organized. The outreach was all done by students. Like, it was students teaching other students. Like, we communicated with parents, hosted the high school fairs, everything. And I think that definitely meant that you had to definitely put in more work. But it also meant, like, I feel like it definitely did help me a lot with my organizing skills. And I did this the summer before serving as vice president for Teal Hawks. So I think it definitely did help with being able to manage a team of that size. So I was the chief of staff. I already said that. Chief of staff, so I was kind of overseeing a lot of the stuff that were going on in that organization. And then I also mentioned that I was the president of the band program this year, and in that I also kind of tied in participating in like chamber, wind ensemble, jazz, symphony orchestra, and yeah, so those are my 5 ECs for that.
Then following along, I'll also do 5 ECs, even though I applied Common App, which requires 10. But the one I ranked first was my Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center internship. I did this the summer going into senior year, I think. I applied it as a junior, and it's a junior only program. It's sort of like the program was giving back to New York City's like the radiology sort of internship program, and only a few schools in the boroughs participate in it, and it has to be through, I think, a science research class because you submit your essay through your science research teachers. So it was a very specific opportunity that I'm grateful Townsend provided. And the project that you're grouped with 10 people, and you're led by 2 college students and a PI and the chief of like this program. And the project that all of us do changes every year, but this year it was a paper on transarterial chemoembolization, which is a process that is used to treat liver cancer specifically. Well, we sort of like observed it or analyzed it for liver cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma, and each of us got a different section to work on, and I was analyzing some of the like most common and least less common transarterial chemoembolization techniques and their effectiveness. And it's supposed to be a published paper. It's not published yet. So I sort of like noted that in my additional information, and I specified what I researched. And then my second activity was Science Olympiad, which I served as for the president, and I've served as the president this year, and I was competitor since sophomore year. And I think Science Olympiad is so like giving. Like, it gives you so much more than like you would think it is. On the surface, a lot of people think Science Olympiad is, oh, you guys just study and you guys just take tests. There's not as much sort of like teamwork that would happen as like in a sports or in robotics. But I think that sort of like individualized learning helps you keep yourself accountable, because whatever like happens during a competition, it's because of you. It's what you did. It's what you and your partner work on. It also helps like one-on-one collaboration, which I think some people prefer over sort of like directly stepping into like a giant group, working with a giant group. I just think that Science Olympiad gives you so much more, especially if you're looking to do engineering or biology. There's so many fields of science to explore, even sort of fields you didn't know were considered science. So there's like all the events are separated into categories. It's like biology, engineering, but there's this category called natural inquiry, and it has like weird events, I would say, like Fermi questions and code busters, which is my favorite event. It's sort of like decryption, and there's different types of ciphers. You decrypt from Spanish, decrypt from English, scrambled letters. So I think that's a very, very cool event that I don't know I would have thought of if I thought like science, not the first thing that comes to your mind. So I think there's so much to explore, so much to try out, and even that like just the competition factor, that you're not competing with just like people from other schools, you're also competing with people on your own team, because if there are like 5 of you that want to do the same event, but there's really only 2 spots on the team, then sort of like it pushes you to work hard. It pushes you to be more curious, to see what else you can do, because Science Olympiad is not, it's very hard to sort of like find a direct guideline as to how to study for your events. Mostly it's you're taught by previous members, or there are different resources out there, but I think it definitely helps you with your time management, especially because of the requirements that you have to have, and it helps like how you find resources, how you are able to take advantage of what you can find, or sort of like the people that you know, the people around you. And I don't know, I just think that it's really cool that you get this experience. And my third extracurricular that I put was my press on nails business. I founded this like the November of junior year, I think. And I guess doing nails has always been a big part of like who I am growing up. It's just like a creative outlet for me. And then coming into Townsend and sort of like honing my skills, a lot of people started asking me about them, and then I was like, I might as well start a business while I'm at it. And then it just, like, now I do so many nails. I just finished a bunch of prom orders. I'm waiting on graduation orders, and I think that doing nails like sort of like allows you to be yourself. It allows you to really like what you like and not feel apologetic for it. It's such a conversation starter. It can be such a conversation starter. And I feel like with nails, you're not as afraid to like be bold or be creative with them. I especially love like the bold and the colorful nails, and I think it teaches you that just because you value sort of like being pretty or sort of like showing off or dressing up, that doesn't mean that you're any less capable. Because growing up in like a traditional household, it's like sometimes hard to feel that, it's not hard to feel that, oh, if I spend time on makeup or doing nails, that takes away from like studying time, or it's not as like important, or it's like has no value because it doesn't contribute to academics. But I think it genuinely makes me happy that I can embrace like my femininity like this, or help others do the same. And I also wrote a lot of supplements on sort of like the impact of this on me and others. And then going back to, I mentioned translating. I'm a translator for the TED Translators program. Anyone can join as long as you know your language. It's a subtitling translating type of program where you can pick whatever videos you feel like translating or subtitling. So you can also sort of learn at the same time, or like listen to inspirational talks while you're translating. And you translate and then you upload. They make it a very easy process for you, and it sort of like also teaches you how to caption and typography, which is I think not a lot of people get the experience to do. I think as long as you apply, you should be able to get in and be a translator. And you just help make a lot of videos, whether informational or reflective or inspirational. You make them available to a lot more people because they get published on YouTube then. And for them to be able to read the captions and understand what's going on, you're not only opening your own perspective, you're sort of helping other people expand their perspectives too. And where is it? I also talked about being the Latin League president this year. This Latin League is sort of like a Latin quiz bowl. It's just a very chill, fun club that, because I've always loved Latin, so I joined in junior year, and then we sort of like teach Latin, we teach grammar. I do more of the grammar type questions. I study more grammar, And while there are other sections like mythology or history that other people might be more interested in. And this kind of plays into sort of my appreciation for translating in languages, because as someone who competes with the grammar, like in the grammar section, it's just like you get to know all the little details of each language, and the linguistic part of it is really cool. And we went to competitions at Stony Brook, at Yale, at UPenn. It was just a very fun and chill club to travel, get some Latin knowledge. It's a smaller club, so you get to know everyone really well. You're not afraid to like speak or be loud. It's very chill. And you're grouped in teams to compete at intermediate, beginner, or advanced level. So don't be afraid to join, even if you don't know Latin or you're just starting out. There's definitely different levels. And yeah, those are my 5.
Queller Prep provides advanced academic help for students, especially Townsend Harris High School students. We work with so many over the years. We help students get ready for applications to the best colleges in America and beyond. Queller Prep has been servicing families for over 20 years, and many of them are Townsend Harris High School students.
And why should students join Queller Prep?
Oh, it's an incredible community, as evidenced by our ice cream truck downstairs. Queller Prep is a great environment where you'll make friends, you'll have fun, and you'll learn.
I think we'll move on to now awards. So what awards do you think were most notable that helped in your application?
You want me to go?
You can go.
Okay. So the first award I put was that I placed second in the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center Radiology Giving Back to New York City essay competition. It was like the top 10 winners get prize money and the opportunity to go take this internship. So that was my first one. And then I had a few state science Olympiad awards: 3rd place in Code Busters and 8th place in forensics. Regional science Olympiad awards, 2nd place in forensics, and among others. I also had a perfect paper for the National Latin exam in 10th grade, and I was a National Commended Scholar.
Okay. So my awards. So I talked about some of the awards from with the Steelhawks. So just like I mentioned those awards, and then I also talked about. So I was also on the swim team. So I mentioned some of our awards for like our city individuals. So I had a couple relay awards that I mentioned there, and then I think these are probably some of my favorite awards were my handball awards. So I started playing handball in freshman year, and now Jenney and I are co-captains, which is something I love doing with her. Yeah, it's something that I really, really enjoy doing for some reason. No, I love handball. But yeah, so I was the junior national handball singles champion in 2023, Mayor's Cup finalist in 2023, and then last fall I was awarded the Academic Athlete Scholarship Award through the Inner City Handball Association, which is like the overarching organization that runs all the tournaments. I also have some awards from band. So I competed at the NYSSMA Solos Festival last year at an all-state level, which is like the highest level for NYSSMA, and received a A rating and a gold medal. And then for NYSSMA majors, we received gold with distinction last year for jazz band and symphony. And I was also selected for the NYC Honors Fest to play in our symphony orchestra. Yeah.
And I think, like, as a conclusion, what general advice would you give juniors starting to think of their application or starting to think of their ideas for the essays? What general advice would you give to those juniors?
I have a few. I would say, one, definitely take your time. Do not rush. It's going to be a long process. You're going to feel like you want to get over with, but that's not the way to think about it. It's just something that if you feel forced to do, you just have to do it. But you have to be patient with yourself. You're not going to think of the best ideas or the best ways to write immediately, and it'll take weeks, months, days. however long it takes, you should know that it's not an easy process, and to brace yourself for this. You have to play the waiting game. And I would say that second would be to take more showers. But not literally.
Jenny.
Not literally. As in, like, me personally, I do a lot of reflecting in the showers. Like, it's sort of like you're on your own, you're doing your own thing, you get a lot of time to yourself. So just take some time for yourself to reflect whenever you get the chance to stop laughing. Whenever you get the chance to, like, be alone, whether you're just taking a walk or taking a shower, you can sort of reflect on like even just your day, like, and then that's like sort of something that will just pop out at you for a prompt, and you're like, oh, I have to write this down right before you sleep or whatever. You're just doing something, but definitely give yourself time to reflect. I know that sometimes the greatest moments or the most memorable moments are when you spend time with your loved ones, but I would say that during this process, it's definitely extremely important to spend a lot of time with yourself, not only to think about like what to write, but also to take care of yourself during this process. Like, if you need sort of like a cake, you need a sweet treat, get it. Like, you're going to deserve it. Don't feel like you don't deserve it.
I think for me, the biggest thing was like start early. And I think everyone says this like after they've gone through the process. They're like, oh yeah, I should have started early. But like genuinely start early, because I'm sure like I think now is the best time for like kids to be working on their subs and their personal essay specifically, because like your personal essay, it's big. When we do our like case studies at the flying programs, the first essay your admission officers are reading are oftentimes your personal essay, because that's usually the first thing that they truly get to hear from you, and not like a list of stats that are about you. So I feel like that really is a make or break moment for how they will perceive the rest of your application. So start as early as possible, and if possible, if you can finish some subs or like some general idea for subs throughout the summer, that's also helpful as well. I feel like just being able to map out very broadly like what you're going to write about for different subs, it really does help you. And you're not expected to write new subs for every prompt that you get for every different school. It's okay to reuse subs. Like, I was really afraid to reuse subs because it felt like I was like cheating in a way, but I mean it truly isn't that. Like, some subs, they're very similar to others, and I mean that's okay. Like, you can still use your same writing for that, but that's why it's important to have, like, I would say like 4 to 5 really strong subs for different types of prompts. Like the ones you can't really prepare for is like a YS, but you can have a list of things you're looking for in a school and how what you're looking for aligns to what each specific school has. And then like for Y majors, you can already like pre-write that. What's your most meaningful extracurricular? Just like subs that are much more general, you can already have those ready, so that for the more specific subs, you are able to spend more time as opposed to like scrambling around, or just having like a list of things you definitely want to write about. So like for me, things I definitely wanted to write about included like Project Home, the Steel Hawks, being on handball, or I hosted a hackathon this summer for all girls, and being a gender minority in a male dominated field, that's something that was really important to me. So just kind of like having a list of things you want to write about as well makes it so much easier for your sub process, or like just like a list of things that you want your admissions officer to learn about you, and how those traits kind of tie into different experiences in your life. That's really helpful. Another big thing that I think that a lot of people don't do is like they don't ask for like help from like people that have gone through the process before. So like I'm the oldest child in my family, and I didn't really have a lot of people in my house to ask for help with the college process. Like my mom and like my dad, they didn't really have to go through the process like with essays, having to do your ECs. It was so much completely different process for them. So just asking people that you don't even have to be close with them, because I had 2 really close friends, Daphne and Shannon that graduated last year, that really did help me a lot with the process. And one thing they said was like, is that like they wish more people had asked them for help, like because they were willing to help others with that process. And that's like also a message that I say to any like rising junior watching this video, is like like ask us for help, like ask anyone, any senior for help, because I think that at Townsend, the community is so tight. Like, we all want to see each other succeed, which is not something I can say for a lot of other top tier high schools. Like, I feel like the nature is competitive at other schools, but at Townsend, everyone wants to see everyone else succeed. So just asking for help, asking people like, if you're like comfortable, like, what did you write for this sub? Or do you think my essay, like, how would you help me like with my essay? How did you write your ECs? Like, literally any small thing that can kind of be like a big, you want your application to be as perfect as possible. So just like making sure that you can clean up all those small things by asking for help from other people, I think that really does, it goes a long way. And I also, like, on the topic of like asking for help, there's programs that are designed to help students that aren't comfortable or aren't familiar with the process get more familiar in the process. So like, I did the matriculate program where I was matched with a mentor, and she was like, you know, like one phone call away person that I would kind of reach out to if I ever had issues with writing my subs or the process in general. Like, I think Matriculate is a great program because you're like on a schedule, like you're required to meet with these people. So by having that kind of schedule, like, you're kind of in a way forced to meet with them, but then you kind of realize the value in being able to meet with people that have gone through the process before. Another program I did was called YTT, which stands for Eat Tu Tamien, which is run by a Yale alumni, JC, and he's helped so many high schoolers like across New York with navigating the process, and he's been doing this for years, so he 100% knows what he's doing. For YTT, it's like it's like you're not competing to get into the program. You reach out to JC, and then he'll be like, hey, this is how you can start getting involved, and you kind of just go to these weekly sessions, and he does like a lot of activities to kind of just get your brain thinking about how you want to write your subs or what you want to write for your subs. So like my first couple meetings with YTT was like, like, talk about your most meaningful extracurricular, or and like we did some interview prep. Like, he would throw a question at us, like to the group, and then one person would answer it, and then we would all give feedback, which I think I really enjoyed YTT because you were in a room with people that were also going through the process. So like, especially for me, like, a lot of times it did feel like I was going through the process alone, but at YTT, the connections I formed there, the friendships I found there, and the mentorship from there as well, which is also something YTT does, is that there's a really strong alumni network that JC has worked with in the past, and those YTT alumni, they're available for you to reach out to them and be like, hey, like, can you help me with this or that, which I think is like really important, like I said, to have people that have gone through the process in your life. So yes, and I also know there's other programs like Match Lighters and the Questbridge College Prep Scholars Program, which recently closed, and also the flying programs as well. I met a lot of current students that go to the colleges I was looking at that were able to help me with my essays. So like for Washington and Lee specifically, I interviewed for them last summer actually, which was really early for a lot of schools, and my interviewer like became like my point person for a lot of the questions I had about the school, the environment, just like writing my subs, and then like he put me in contact with other W&L students, and then like my admissions officer I met at the W&L fly-in, and he also was a really big like supporter and a really big source for answering a lot of questions I had. So yeah, I really think those are two of the biggest things. And I would also say just adding on to what Jenney said about being like patient, like these things take time. And that also ties into what I said about starting early. I feel like it's easy for students to be like, I'll just do it the night before, but you realize like you can't write all those subs, all those different subs the night before. I think because then like you'll look back and be like this is not the quality of work I wanted to put out for myself. I think for me, just in general, I really take pride in making sure that I'm putting out the best work possible, and I think a lot of Townsend students have that same mindset. And I feel like sometimes it works, like you're able to cram for a project that night before and it will turn out flawless the next day. But this is a process that you really have to take your time with, and also you really need to be patient with yourself, and just understanding that some people are better writers than others, and that doesn't disqualify you from the process. It just means that you need to devote more time to kind of finding that selling factor for yourself, and finding what makes you stand out, and figuring out how you showcase that to others, and to like your admission officers. Also realizing like I said, like you're not in this alone. Like I mentioned YTT, but also like at Townsend as well, you're not the only senior going through this, which is another thing. Like you could communicate to your teachers and be like, hey, like I have a sub due this day. Is it okay if I take it easy on homework the week or two lining up to it? And they're really understanding. I think a lot of people are really afraid to ask their teachers for like those like extensions, but they really do understand, which is something I really love about the talented teachers, is that they really do love their job and they really want their students to perform well. Like I think I've asked like my teachers like, hey, like I have something due, like I've questions due this week, like can I take this test like the week after? Like I think that's definitely something I've done, and I've never had someone say no to me, which really helped a lot. It's just like being able to be in the best mindset possible when you're going through this process is really important, and surrounding yourself with people that are not only going through it, but also people that are going to support and uplift you throughout the entire process, even though they're also going through it. Yeah.
And I think one of the most frustrating things about the application is just you sit down, you have a bunch of time, but nothing comes to mind. What advice would you give to students that like wanting to like get started, but like having a hard time to start, or like completing their ideas for like essays or how to phrase certain things?
I feel like the worst thing a student can do, which is it doesn't feel intuitive at first, is because like is that you could looking at past essays from other people or Googling like Harvard essays that work. That's the worst thing you can do to yourself, because by reading those essays, you're already setting a bar for yourself that you are not going to automatically reach your first time writing that essay. And it becomes so much harder, because I feel like the process when it comes to writing your essays is so much more meaningful than writing one essay and it being the best one. Like you really need to go through that process to be able to grow as a writer and kind of just figure out more about yourself. So the worst thing you can do is, first of all, like Google essays that work, or ask like previous students, oh, like can you send me your essay? If you're stuck with figuring out what you want to write, that is not the first step you should take. I would say further down the line, once you have your idea and you need tips to how to refine it, how to cut it down, then you can look at other essays, like how did they cut it down, what did they include, what did they take out. I would say what I did, because I'm also not like, I'm not like, writing is not my thing, I'm more like math and science, is sit down and I made a list of, like I said, things that I want to write about, so experiences in my life that really meant a lot to me and have really shaped who I am and who I want to become, and also a list of traits that you want your college admission officer to see when they read your essays, because like the people reading your essays are not the same people like do your interviews. Like I feel like it's easier to showcase yourself in an interview than it is for an essay. So just like if you were talking to someone, what are some of the things that you would hope they learn about you, and how can you channel that into your essay? So making that list, I think, is the first step, and then picking like, oh, I think these are my strongest traits, and I think these are. So you never want to look for what are the most desirable traits for college, because it's always going to be like, oh, most involved, smartest, and that's never the answer. It's which of the traits of mine am I most proud of, that I want to go to a school that would be proud to have me at because of these traits. You never want to write an application that isn't authentically you, because 9 out of 10 times at college, like an officer can read that essay and they will know like that is not you, and that you're trying to fit into this like cookie cutter mold of like what is the most desirable candidate for your school. At the end of the day, you are going to end up going to the school that is right for you. And I think that when decisions came out, it was hard for me to realize that, because I didn't get into schools that I thought I would have really loved to go to. But now being committed to W&L and just meeting the community there, meeting the people there, the opportunities there. Like I'm flying out Sunday to do research on campus already. Like I'm really a person that's like a go-getter and like someone that wants to do everything possible. And W&L is a school that gives resources to anyone that wants to do that. So I'm already in the process of starting like a formal essay team at my university, and like I said, going on campus already. Like I'm really like I need to be doing something, and I think W&L really was the best fit for me. The fact that it already gave me the best aid offer, but gave me the best opportunities, and kind of really did shape into the mold of who I am. Like, your school should be fitting into that cookie cutter mold of who you are. You should not be fitting into the cookie cutter mold of like what the school is, or what is quote unquote the most desirable candidate or ideal student, because every student is different. And regardless of, sure, like some students at a certain college will have certain traits that, you know, are similar, but it doesn't mean that every student is the same, which is why I hate like stereotypes for college. Or like, oh, like you seem like you're this kind of college, or you seem like that kind of college, because I feel like that's very far from like how you want to be perceived, or how you should be perceived as a person. Like you should be, I feel like you're not fitting into like a certain mold of like the traits for a college. Like there's no like, oh, these are what Princeton students are like, or anything like that. The school is picking you based on like, they think that the school is picking you based on like where they think, if you think you would thrive there or not, based on their resources. So like, I mean, it's kind of like the Big Sim Little Sim math program, like where you fill out an application like, oh, like these are the things I like, and the school is like reviewing them, and they're like, I would match a student, I would not. Like, they're not looking to like make a student cry by not letting them into their dream school. They're looking for students that will thrive at their university, and students that they think will really benefit from the resources that they have specifically. And a lot of schools, as similar as some of them may seem, they have a lot of different resources. And like maybe a big school or smaller school, or research, not research, those are things that schools are looking for. Like, they're never looking to harm a student or take away their dream. Yeah.
As a closing question, as like a fun one, have you guys watched those college reaction videos of people opening up their decisions, and maybe a follow-up video of their stats? Have you guys watched that, and did that influence you, if you did watch them, when you were applying?
I did not watch them. I thought that even just watching them, it's sort of like some subconscious feeling of maybe I'm not good enough, or wow, this person's so much better than me, person is so admirable. And it's just like, I felt like that, at least if I watched them, I would start like tearing up, and like I'd be like, I feel so desperate, like a desperate feeling to really want to get into that college, or to be done with this process, or to have that. I don't think, to me, those are not motivational videos unless it's one of yourself. I think watching your own reaction video can definitely help motivate you later on in life and sort of appreciate what you have. But I just think that if I watched other people's videos, one, I don't think that would really like impact me in any positive way. So one, it would be like a waste of time for me. And two, it's just like, I don't want to feel like negatively about myself, especially when I'm trying to think about positive things about myself to tell these colleges. And just because their stats work, their conditions work, their extracurriculars work, you're not going to mirror them in any way, even if you are going to be in the same field. Like, just because someone had like a 1560 SAT with a valedictorian, 3.8 GPA, just because you don't have those stats doesn't mean you're any less of a person than they are. It doesn't mean that those schools will like you any less.
Okay, sorry. So just adding on to what Jenney said, something she said made me think about something I do about like personal reactions. Something that I do like a lot of times when I feel like demotivated, or like I don't want to I keep going like with my work, because I think like for engineering, like getting internships is really competitive, and I think like going through that process right after decisions came out, that was like a rough patch. So something that I did a lot was I always rewatch like the reaction video from when the robotics team won the first Impact Award, because I think that was probably like my biggest win of high school. It kind of was like finally like all of the work I've been doing over the past 4 years of high school, it felt like it finally paid off. And like I think like in life, I think there's like a lot, like everyone does not have like a lot of those moments, but I think people do have those moments where it's like, yes, like it finally paid off. And I think it's important to kind of hold on to those, because they really do keep you going. And I think that just when I keep watching that video a lot, like for a lot of different things, like when we performed for like for NISMA for band, I definitely like watched that video the night before to like remind myself like there's gold at the end of the rainbow, even though it, like, maybe it's not as large for different situations, but there's always something waiting for you at the end of the path. Like, if you put in the work, you will see the reward. And I think that moment really did made me realize that, because I don't think I can understate how much work went into winning that award, not just this year, but the 17 years that the team has been around. That has all been towards winning that award at a competition. So yeah, that's something that really does keep me going, like, with personal reactions. But going back to, like, the question about, like, the reaction videos for college, I watched a lot of them, but I would always stop the video at the part where they would show their stats, for the same reason as Jenney. For me, I think that I really enjoyed watching the reaction videos, not, like, to kind of just, like, have, like, a roster of schools in my head, but just kind of because I think that was motivational to me to get through the college process. Like, at the end of the day, like, this is what's waiting for me at the end. Like, just that, like, excitement of getting into somewhere, and, like, going to a school that you're a really great match for. I think that I needed that, like, motivation, because I feel like a lot of times I would just be like, you know what, I'll just go wherever I go, and, like, not want to keep going with the process. But I think that just watching those videos, for me, I really enjoyed seeing, like, other people get excited about schools, because it gave me something to look forward to when, like, decision season came around. Like, even if it wasn't my dream schools, I feel like for me, getting into any university that, like, any private institution was a really big deal for my family. I think that coming in freshman year, I never thought I would have the chance to go to, like, a competitive or prestigious university. And then getting into, like, W&L, I really wish I recorded my reaction. But yeah, I was at a orchestra rehearsal when it came out, and the first thing I did was call my mom, because for her, I didn't just do this for myself, I also did this for her, because after we moved here, she became a single parent, and then, like, I wasn't just getting into college for myself, but also for her, like, getting that full ride scholarship. It meant that I was able to, you know, and that was my way of giving back to my mom for all that she's done for me my entire life. So I called my mom, and then I called Freddie, who's also a current senior. I called him because he's been, like, my rock throughout this entire college process. Like, we would go to the library a lot and just work on our subs. So yeah, so for me, like, the college reaction videos, they were, like, they kept me going, because it meant, like, there was something waiting for me. But, like, similar to Jenney, I could not watch, like, the stats videos, because I feel like that would be really, like, it would really, like, make me sad. Just seeing, because I feel like it's natural for people to see what other people have and then compare it to yourself. Like, that's just, like, natural, like, mankind. Yeah. So I feel like I just had to take pride in the things that I knew were really good about my application, and I think for me, I think my essays and my extracurriculars were definitely my strongest parts, and I think a lot of the video, like, these stats videos on YouTube, they focus a lot on, like, I feel like, grades and test scores, but for me, I just have to keep reminding myself, like, I feel like I'm more passionate about my extracurriculars and what I do outside of the classroom than what I do inside of the classroom. So I feel like for me, I really did try to stay away from the stats part of the videos, because I think it really would have, like, steered me away from being proud of my achievements. Yeah.
Well, thank you both for staying for this very long episode, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next minute episode. Bye.
Yeah.